Mr. Anderson, what is your occupation, sir?
I'm a boat operator.
And how long have you been doing that?
I've been doing that for about 15 years.
On August 19th, 1989, were you employed in that fashion?
Yes, I was.
And where were you employed?
Marina Del Rey,
What company?
motion picture Marine.
And what is the nature of that business?
It's a marine production company.
Which means what?
We do full marine productions. They contract out boats and crews and lifeguards and
Okay, on the 19th of August, did you have a job that day?
yeah, we had a shark fishing charter.
It's shark fishing?
That's correct.
Do you recall who was on that particular charter?
Yes, I do.
Who was that?
The Menendez family,
And who in particular?
José and Kitty and Lyle and Erik.
Do you see the persons that you've referred to as Lyle and Erik in the courtroom today?
Yes, I do.
And would you just identify them for the court?
In the plaid shirt and the blue shirt.
Referring to the two defendants of counsel table.
Thank you, Your Honor. What time did this charter take place?
We actually left the dock around 4:30, 4 o'clock, 4:30, somewhere right around there.
And where was your boat docked?
In Marina Del Rey.
This was a family outing?
Yes, it was.
Were you the only person on that boat that was actually operating the boat, or were there other?
Well, I was the boat operator. I had a deckhand and just a friend along.
So there were three people besides the Menendez family?
That's correct.
Would you describe for the jurors what took place as the Menendez family arrived at the Marina Del Rey? Well, when you got to your
From the beginning,
when you
or
got to your boat, just describe what took place.
well, we were, I gave them, an introduction to my deckhand and myself, and of course met the family and gave them a quick once over on the boat and what we'd be doing, and how the evening would go time wise, and how the shark fishing charter would go.
Had this charter been arranged for some time, or was this something that occurred recently?
To tell you the truth, I'm not sure how long in advance the charter wasn't arranged through me, so I'm not sure how long in advance. I'd only known about the charter maybe 2 days in advance.
You indicated it was shark fishing? Is
That's
that right?
correct.
Do you provide the family members on this charter with fishing poles?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, did you do that?
Yes, we had poles.
Did each member of the family have a fishing pole that day?
Yeah, we usually put out enough for the family and a couple extra that we have out on deck, set up, ready to go. So everyone was set up. Not everyone actually used a fishing pole, but everyone was set up to.
Okay, when you say set up, what does that mean?
Well, set up with the shark rig, or initially before we go sharking, we set the rods up to go catch the bait fish, to go mackerel fishing first. So we set up some to fish for the mackerel and then change those over later for shark rigs.
And did you do that on this occasion?
Yes, we did.
Did you catch any mackerel?
A couple of mackerel, not an incredible amount, but a couple.
Did any of the family members catch fish?
I don't think they were too involved in the mackerel catching. I'm not sure. I don't believe that anyone really did that. I think just my deckhand.
So your deckhand caught some fish?
Yeah.
Now, were those fish then used as bait for the shark?
Yes, they were.
Did anyone catch any shark?
We caught a couple sharks that night. I believe 2 or 3. I'm not sure which.
Mr. Anderson, how big was the boat that was used on this particular day?
It was a 31-footer.
When you set up the rigs, the fishing poles for the family, how did you do that? Did you set them all on one side of the boat or in one area of the boat?
Well, initially when the family's coming on, we have them just put aside so that there's room on the dock so that people can step from the dock onto the boat. As we're going out, usually the rods go in the rod holders with the extras set up to the side.
Okay, so where are the rod holders on that particular boat?
They're midship on both sides of the boat and at the stern on both sides.
How many rod holders are there on either side?
2 on either side, and then there's one in the middle of the stern, but I don't think we were set up there. We're usually not.
When the Menendez family arrived, did they initially mill around the back of the boat, or did they go directly to their rods?
Basically, I think José and Kitty, well, I think everyone initially probably went down below in the boat right away, kind of into the boat and then maybe down below just to look inside. And like I said, I gave everyone a brief tour of the boat. Usually I show them where the life jackets are that are, down below deck underneath the ceiling and, or on top of the ceiling, pardon me. And so from then on, Kitty stayed pretty much down below, Jose a little out back, and Erik and Lyle moved to the front of the boat, I believe, right as we were leaving the dock.
So they were facing in the direction that your boat was moving?
That's correct.
The whole family was together as you were giving them a tour of the cabin area?
Well, there's not really, it's a very small boat, so you kind of have to be together right there.
Is there a bathroom on the boat?
Yes, there is.
Is there a bed on the boat?
Yes, there are. There's fold-down beds, and there's a little V-berth up front with beds in it.
Sometime after 4:30 then?
Yeah, probably be actually left dock maybe 5 o'clock, usually just not very long afterwards. We were set up because we had been actually ready to leave at 3 o'clock when the charter was supposed to have been.
How long a charter was this?
We got back approximately 11:30 to midnight that evening.
You were with the family some 7 hours then?
Yes, correct.
Would you describe for the jurors what kind of activities were going on as you were on this charter?
Well, what do you mean activities-wise? By the defendants or myself?
First of all, that I believe Kitty Menendez was down below initially.
Yes, Kitty stayed down below pretty much the whole charter. She very seldom came out to the back of the boat.
Was there a point that she came up and either fished or watched seals?
Well, she'd come out and look at the. She came out and looked when we actually caught some sharks, and then coming back, we stopped at another shark spot where that's prolific with seals. And as the seals were swimming by, I believe Jose called to Kitty to come out and look at them, and sure, she came out, and everyone was pretty excited. They were, swimming up to the boat and right around. So,
when you say everyone was excited, did the brothers come to where Kitty and Jose were to look at the seals as well?
Gosh, I believe so, but I couldn't tell you for sure, but I believe so.
Did anyone else point out seals to Kitty that day?
Just right there at that spot, that's the only place where they really were that I recall seeing them at the night, and I'm not sure exactly who called out. I know Jose mentioned it, and I'm not sure if anybody else called out to her to look at them or not. I can't recall.
Did she seem to be interested in those seals?
Oh, yeah. Like I said, it was almost the only time we saw her all night, almost.
Did she comment on what she had seen?
Oh, I can't recall. I'm sorry.
Now, you said that there were a couple of catches of sharks. Who caught the sharks?
Boy, well, who actually reeled them up?
Yes.
Gosh. I can't really recall. I think Erik reeled up a shark, and I think Jose, but I can't remember positively if that's right or not.
Was there excitement within the family at the catching of these sharks?
Oh, Yeah, so, sure everybody, wanted to look and see and watch him come up. So yes, there was.
Well, would the family members gather around where the shark was being pulled in or reeled in?
I believe so. Like I said, it's a 31-foot boat, so if you're up on the deck, you're around where the shark's going to get pulled in. But everybody came to look at the sharks and came onto that small deck area, so sure.
What kind of sharks were caught?
I think they were just brown sharks, if I recall.
At some point, did the family all go into the cabin? I mean, it was about a 7-hour trip, correct?
Boy, very seldom was the family all in the cabin together that I can recall. Occasionally, people would go in and out, but no, very seldom, I think, can I remember the family being all together in the cabin.
Were there refreshments on this charter?
The charters bring the refreshments, and I'm sure there was, but I can't recall what it was.
Do you recall them bringing a little cooler with them or anything like that?
That's usual, and I can't remember for sure if they did. But that's normal. They're usually told beforehand to do that. Bring their own food and refreshments. And
do you recall ever seeing them? Well, did anyone get sick on this charter?
Yeah. Well, Kitty was sick, I think, the whole time below deck, and then Jose got sick. Coming back, I remember I don't know if he was sick, I can't remember if he was sick the whole time, but I remember he was sick coming back from, like, Redondo. I remember looking back and noticing that he was sick, getting sick, being sick.
Did you actually see him being sick?
Yes.
Okay, was it pretty choppy?
Yeah, it was very choppy. It was a choppy, windy day.
So, was it choppy about the whole time?
Yes.
When is it that Kitty became ill?
I think very early on.
Did you see Kitty get sick too?
I don't remember visibly seeing Kitty get sick. She was down below, and there's a bathroom down there. So I can't remember if I actually saw her get sick or not.
Is that pretty common on a choppy day like the day?
Very common. Very common.
Yeah, at some point you indicated that you went to Redondo Beach.
Yes.
Fishing there. How far did you go that day?
That's about where we went off the Dominator off the point there.
And did you stop and fish at that location for a while?
Yes.
At some point, then you returned to Marina del Rey, and approximately what time was that?
That we turned around to come back?
Yes.
Well, we stopped and fished at the seal spot on the way back for approximately an hour, and it's about half an hour from there, so somewhere right around 9:30, I'd say, is when we left the point.
The point being?
Where the Dominator is, at Redondo.
And about what time did you arrive back at the Marina del Rey?
We arrived back around 11:30 p.m.
Did the family leave here pretty tired from the day's activities?
Yeah, tired and probably happy to be back on land.
Okay, and at some point, did Jose pay you for the charter?
Yes, he gave me a check for the charter.
And that was about 11:30 at night?
Yes, it was.
Thank you. I have nothing further at this time. Some curiosity. What is the Dominator?
Oh, it's a sunken vessel off the point. It's it was a big shipping vessel that sunk years ago, so it's just a landmark.
Is that off of Torrance Cliffs area near Palos Verdes?
Yes, right at the, this is the first point beyond Redondo.
Thank you.
Cross-examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Mr. Anderson. Now it's my turn. Mr. Anderson, you were interviewed on at least 2 occasions by Detective Zoller, who's seated here at the council table. Is that correct?
That's correct.
You recognize him?
Yes, I do.
And on both occasions when you were interviewed by Detective Zoller, did you tell him about what you thought was some unusual behavior by the sons on that trip?
Yes.
And could you tell us now what it was you told the Detective Zoller about the behavior of the sons?
Well, just the unusual, what we felt was unusual behavior by we, I'm talking about the crew member and my guest, was that the sons stayed at the front of the boat during the whole charter, the bow of the boat, and it was a very choppy, wet day. And upon leaving Marina Del Rey, we actually took a wave over the front of the boat that soaked them. And we were on top of the fly bridge, of course, and didn't get wet, and yet we were still cold, and I believe they were wearing shorts. And we couldn't understand why they were staying up there freezing.
Okay. So they were not dressed for wet or cold weather, I take it?
No, no.
And would there have been any particular advantage to being up front? I mean, was this a trip that was designed to get a good view and that
Well,
was the best seat, or?
Some people like to sit up in front of the boat as the boat goes along. There's, some people like that, some people don't. It's.
Okay. Did they appear to be comfortable, or did they appear to be uncomfortable?
They appeared uncomfortable.
And did you tell Detective Zoller about that as well?
Yes, I did.
And when you say they were uncomfortable, could you describe what their behavior was?
They appeared to be very cold and shivering, and so they were very close to each other and right below us, sitting on the bridge of the boat.
So were they in a position where you could observe them at all times?
I was right over the top of them, yes.
Okay. And their father was at the opposite end of the boat?
Yes, he stayed to the rear of the boat.
What did you observe about the interaction of this family? Did they seem to be happy and getting along, or how did they appear to you?
Well, like I said, they were very actually apart during the trip. The sons were up front. Jose was either in the stern of the boat or down below with Kitty, and there wasn't very much interaction going on, verbal interaction going on.
Did it
during the trip.
appear that the boys were trying to stay away from their parents?
Sustained.
Did, during the 7 hours that they were on the boat, did you see Lyle Menendez spending time with his father or with his mother? Or would you say the majority of the time was in the front of the boat?
The majority of the time, Lyle was in the front of the boat.
And how much time would you say, out of the 7 hours, and how much time would you say was actually within reaching distance of his father?
Oh, well, I couldn't put a time limit on it really, but it wasn't very long. There was just very few times that Lyle came back from the front of the boat. When we actually caught the sharks, he did. I believe when we stopped during the last shark fishing part, he came back. But most of the time, Lyle was up front. Very, very, very small amount of time was he with Jose or.
And during the times that he was with Jose, those brief times, were there other people around?
Well, Erik and myself, I was almost always down on the deck, and my deckhand.
Thank you. Was there a time change with regard to when this charter was to leave?
Yes, I believe it was originally scheduled for noon, or it was earlier in the day. It wasn't a good time to go out shark fishing.
Okay. Would it refresh your recollection to look at some documents as to the time that it was originally scheduled?
Sure it might.
May I approach, Your Honor? I've shown these documents to the prosecution. I'm showing you some documents, a face sheet which says Motion Picture Marine. Is that the company you're talking about? Okay. And do you recognize these documents?
Yes, I do.
What are they?
These are our charters agreements and contracts basically for the charter.
Your Honor, I can't hear the voice because he's
Or contracts for the charter and charters agreements.
And do you, would you read this particular document here and see if it refreshes your recollection about what time the charter was supposed to be?
Just read it to yourself.
I believe that's correct. I think I was called with time changes a few times on the charter, and I think they eventually asked my opinion, or maybe I asserted my opinion that it wasn't a good time. I don't really remember how that went, but that's an inappropriate time to go out shark fishing, and I think that was probably the reason that we changed the time.
Okay, what was the time?
Well, according to that, 11
And it was changed to what time?
to 3.
And do you remember when that change was? Was it just,
It was most likely that morning. They're kind of slow to get me with that information. It was either that morning or the night before when we started talking about what a good time was to come by.
so when you found out about it, it was within a day or so of when?
That's correct.
Either Friday or Saturday morning. And they were scheduled for 3 o'clock, and what time did they actually arrive?
They arrived at somewhere between 4 and 4:30. I think probably closer to 4:30. It seems to me they were about an hour and a half late.
And did this appear to be an event that they were all real excited about?
No, not really. Initially everybody came on the boat and was just kind of, they seemed interested but not really excited.
Thank you. I have nothing further.
Anything on behalf of the co-defendant?
Mr. Anderson, was it your understanding that this trip had a business aspect to it?
That's correct.
And that was because Jose had a new client and wanted to appear knowledgeable about shark fishing?
Yes, I believe he was actually going to go shark fishing and wanted to practice up, basically.
Okay, so this was a trial run.
That's correct.
And the family was brought with Jose on this trial run. Is that correct?
That was
Okay.
how I
Now,
understood it.
You said that there was a crew. Who besides yourself was on the boat from your company?
Richard Campbell.
And he was the deckhand?
Yes, that's correct.
Was there anyone else?
Yes, I had a guest, Leslie Gaskell.
And Leslie Gaskell is a female?
That's correct.
When the Menendez family arrived on the boat, was there any discussion about the size?
Yes, there was. Kitty, one of the first statements she said was, I think she thought the boat would be larger.
Okay. And was there any remark made concerning Leslie Gaskell, your friend?
Yes, well, I believe it was Kitty that asked who she was, basically, what she was doing there.
And thereafter, Leslie Gaskell stayed up with you on the deck?
She remained on the flybridge, that's correct.
She avoided the family?
That's right.
Now, the family was dressed in shorts?
Yes,
And was this attire appropriate or unusual, or?
well, it's not appropriate, and it's also not really unusual. I mean, some people, if they're not, if they haven't done this before, aren't necessarily prepared to go out dressed the right way.
So this sometimes happens that people come and they don't realize they're going to be cold and wet.
That's correct.
You said that when you were going out in the channel, the two boys were sitting on the bow air area.
That's correct.
And was this when they were hit by the wave?
Right as we were leaving Marina Del Rey, it's very. It was a choppy day with a good swell, and like I said, be either south or west exit of the Marina Del Rey channel. It exits two directions, and that direction always is a little rough.
And did they get soaked?
Yes, they did.
They were just covered with water.
A wave came over and pretty much soaked them.
Okay. And after they were soaked, did they at any time leave to get a towel or to get covering for them?
Gosh, Erik, I know, went back down maybe once or twice during the trip as we were going down to go fish for the bait, but I can't really recall. I don't recall him bringing back a towel, possibly jackets or something, I'm not sure.
Okay, you're talking about he left once or twice during the entire 7-hour trip?
Well, Erik came back a couple times. No, like when we stopped to fish, Erik was back more often than Lyle. Erik was more to the rear of the boat than Lyle was,
Okay.
more to the stern.
And your recollection is he left for the shark fishing, or for the actual catching of the sharks, and also for the area where the seals were?
You're talking about he left the front of the boat
Yes.
during that time. Yes, and like I said, he went back a little more often. I don't, I couldn't tell you exactly during the time when he walked back or.
Okay. But for the main part, the boys were by themselves up at the front of the boat.
That's correct.
Would you describe the boys' demeanor as happy?
Well, not knowing him personally, I couldn't tell you how they act normally when they're happy, but no, they weren't like jovial. And
In fact, you've described them in the past as gloomy.
it seemed kind of gloomy.
Okay, and you've described them as rather stoic,
Yes,
because that's how they appeared
There
to
was-
you to be.
very little talking going on.
And there appeared to be a problem in the family.
Objection calls for sustained.
Was Mr. Menendez a large person?
Yes, he was.
And from the time that you saw him on the boat, would it be fair to describe his demeanor as rather overbearing?
Objection calls for speculation. Sustained.
Did you observe anything unusual about his demeanor during the time you were on the boat?
Well,
If you can.
no, not really, no.
Okay. Mr. Anderson, was the purpose of this trip to familiarize Mr. Menendez with shark fishing?
Overall.
That's correct.
Okay, and as captain of the boat, was it your job to do that? That is, to teach him about shark fishing?
Well, every time I take any kind of fishing charter out, I try to teach people about it, but it's not really necessarily my job. The deckhands there to do the same thing, and
Did you make any efforts, or did you do anything to try and familiarize Mr. Menendez with shark fishing?
sure, yes, I did.
And that was in an attempt to teach him?
Pardon me?
That was in an effort to teach him?
Yes.
Is that right? Could you describe for us his reaction to your efforts to teach him?
Let me think about that a minute. I'm not sure his reactions, and when I explained it, like I said, I explained how, what we'd be doing beforehand before we left, and as he asked individual questions about the fishing, then I guess his reaction was kind of a, yeah, I know about it. Tell me about it, but I know about it.
Okay, he seemed impatient?
No, I wouldn't say impatient.
Okay.
Can you describe his reaction?
Kind of what I said, like I want to hear about it, but I know about it. So,
Thank you very much. I have nothing further to add.
All right, any other cross-examination? All right, redirect.
How were they dressed?
I believe they were wearing short pants and possibly polo shirts, I'm not sure, but it seems like it.
And were the parents dressed appropriately for this outing?
No, they weren't. Jose was wearing short pants also.
And it was actually middle of summer, August 19th, but it was cold.
It was breezy, and we were going to be out at night.
You were indicating that this particular time wasn't an appropriate time to shark fish. Is that correct?
The time when we actually went out, or the
Yes.
time? It was a little early. Yeah, we normally would either go later at night or earlier in the morning.
What are the times, generally speaking?
Well, generally I'd like to leave dock around 6 p.m. if we were going to go in for an afternoon one. And I think the reason that we left it, or that we decided on 3, was because it was kind of a compromise with their schedule and when I thought was a good time. I believe that's how it worked out.
So are there generally two times you would go out on a shark fishing expedition?
Yes.
What are those times?
Either early morning, 3:30, 4 a.m., or 6 p.m.
So you went out a little earlier than the
Yeah, a
afternoon.
little earlier than.
At some point, did you say that the brothers brought jackets from the cabin area?
Yeah, I believe possibly Eric went down and brought back jackets. I think they were wearing jackets later in the evening.
Did you indicate that the family would point out where the seals were for her?
I'm not sure. May I look at it again?
All right, let's resume.
Mr. Anderson, do you recall that family members would call out to Kitty and tell her that there was a seal on this side of the boat?
I recall Jose getting her attention about the seal initially, and when she came out, and then I don't recall in particular who called to her and told her that there was seals around the boat, but I think it was just everyone, as it would pop up around the boat, would say, "There's the seal," and but I don't remember who in particular, or
The seals would be circling the boat?
yes.
Now, you indicated, or do you recall now whether or not all of the family became somewhat ill on this trip?
I believe so. Well, I know for a fact that, Jose did, and Kitty, like I said, I believe got ill right away going out, and I believe my deckhand actually saw her getting ill, but I'm not positive about that. And upon reading my review, or the review of what I stated before, the whole family was queasy.
In regarding the enthusiasm of the family, do you recall what the mood was like when the sharks were caught?
Well, everyone was excited to see the sharks caught, and that was one of the few times we had everyone together.
And as you pulled back to the berth, what was your impression of the outing that had occurred?
Well, coming back to the berth is a lot better. Once you come into the marina and once you come into the channel, the water calms down. People know they're coming home, so everybody on any charter, everybody gets pretty kind of happy. And if you're seasick, sometimes it'll just go away the minute that you pull into the actual channel itself. So, yeah, the family seemed more upbeat once we came in. I think they seemed like they were happy with the charter, and discussing it with Jose afterwards, he said he was very happy with it and actually would like to do it again.
Thank you.
Anything further?
Just briefly,
Yes.
Mr. Anderson, did the boys appear to be relieved to be back?
at the birth?
Relieved.
Well, you described them as being.
Yeah, everybody's more uplifted. I think everybody was. Sure. Yes, and
Did they, that's fine. Thank you.
Anything else?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Okay, thank you. You may step down, get back to your sharks.
Mr. Edmonds, what is your occupation and assignment, sir?
I'm a detective sergeant for the city of Beverly Hills.
And how long have you been so employed?
For the city, 32 years.
Are you a supervisor of homicide detectives for Beverly Hills Police Department?
Yes, sir.
Sometime after midnight on August 20th, 1989, were you made aware of a double murder which occurred at 722 North Elm in Beverly Hills?
Yes, I was.
And did you respond to the police station in order to become involved in that investigation?
Yes, sir.
What information had you received concerning that particular incident?
Objection here, sir.
Sustained.
Did you become aware, or how did you become aware that there had been a crime at that location?
Objection relevant.
Overruled.
I received a telephone call at my home.
Who was that from?
The watch commander.
At some point, did you go to the police station, Beverly Hills?
Yes, I did.
And at some point, did you interview two people?
Yes, sir.
Do you see anyone in the courtroom today that you interviewed on the early morning
Yes,
of August 21st, 1989?
Yes, I see both the men that I spoke to.
Okay, and who are they?
Erik and Lyle Menendez.
Now, the information that you had received, were they the sons of the victims in the case?
Yes.
Were the defendants in custody at that time, sir?
No, sir.
I have a transcript on a cassette tape of an interview with Erik Menendez on August 21st, 1989, and I have the cassette tape marked as Exhibit 40, and a transcript that goes along with it as 41.
And these would have to be returned, ladies and gentlemen. Just, they're given to you at this point to assist the jury in listening to the tape. Sometimes it helps to have something in writing ahead of, to read along as you're listening to the tape, but the tape itself is the evidence of the conversation, not the transcript. And the transcript is just an aid to listening to the tape. And after it's played, we'll collect them.
Sergeant Edmonds, I'm going to show you what's been marked as Exhibit 40. Have you seen that tape before?
Yes, sir.
Is that the tape of the interview with Erik Menendez on the early morning of August 21st, 1989?
Yes, it is.
Is everybody ready? If I may, Your Honor.
The date is August 21, the time is 01:20 hours. I'm Sergeant Edmonds of the Beverly Hills Police Department. I'm going to interview Erik Menendez at this time. Erik, can you tell me what happened tonight, starting at the very beginning? What time did you leave home? We worked on it on the Saturday, home, that's on the 8th. They left the room you were in. See Batman. Where was it playing? 321, 314, 315. Who went with you? My brother. And then after that, we were meeting a friend at a wine tasting thing at Civic Center in LA. And we got lost. And we ended up getting there. I don't know. We ended up getting there, and that wasn't there, so we called him at home. Turns out we were supposed to meet him. We were supposed to meet him at the Cheesecake Factory. But we came home first. Which Cheesecake Factory? Beverly Hills? Yeah. Where did you call your friend from? My brother did that. I don't know. I wasn't with him at that time. They wouldn't let me go when it was closing. It was downtown Los Angeles? Yeah, it was in Santa Monica. Oh. So when you left home, was the gate closed? We went out the back. They usually go out the back. Get up to the back. They usually always close the gate and turn them around and lock the door. Do you live in the guest house? No, my brother does. What type of automobile were you driving? My Escort, a Ford Escort. And you and your brother were in the same car? Yeah. So then, when you came home, did you go back in through the alley as well? No, we were going to stop at home quickly so we pulled the driveway. We pulled on the side and the gate was open. And we went inside and there was the smell of smoke. We saw them. And I started screaming, and so I went upstairs and loud, so we called the police. Was the television playing? Yeah. I remember what's going on. Was the alarm on and the front door closed? I don't think the alarm was on, no, because the front door was closed. Was it locked? I don't think so. Did you use your key to get in? I don't think so. It's locked. Do you have any ideas who may have done this? No, family doesn't have any ideas. No, your dad doesn't have a lot of friends, but it's his business. My brother made nothing happen. What did they do today? Did they stay home all day? They stayed home, watched tennis and TV. Did you notice if anything was missing from the inside of the house? Any property? Where did you live before you moved to Beverly Hills? We were renting a house in Calabasas. We just moved here in October. October. We were renting a house in Calabasas. How was it this other friend showed up at your house? Well, I guess we met him at the Cheesecake Factory. He's the man that was going to meet you at the Cheesecake Factory? What is his name? No, him? Oh, yeah. I called him. He was like, might have been there. He's our coach, my tennis coach, so I called him. What is his name? Mark. Mark what? Mark Heffernan. Heffernan? Heffernan. Okay. Do you have any ideas on this at all? That is going to help us catch the people? This person? Why? There was blood everywhere. There was blood everywhere. Why didn't anyone hear anything? I don't understand. Why the hell nobody came out of the house and I came home? But 3 or 4 hours later, I mean, didn't your father or yourself, anybody own any weapons? Yeah, I think they own some weapons. I'm not sure where they are. Do you know what type they are? I think it's a rifle, I think they have a gun. A handgun? I think they used to. A long time ago. Last time I saw it, it was like in pieces. No. It was in our other house. And then, you don't know, though, if they own a shotgun or any other kind of long guns? No, rifle. I don't think they own a shotgun. As well. So, what movie did you see? Batman. What time did that start? We got there like 8:15. No one else was in the house. There were no maids or cook or anything? I don't get it. We weren't even going to go out. Maids off on weekends. I was at the house weekdays. We weren't even going to go out. I mean, it wasn't like a plan. We would always go out on Sunday if we don't. And I don't get it. We should have just stayed in. We should have just stayed in. Have they been getting along with all the help? The maid and everybody? Oh, yeah. How long has the maid worked there? A long time. I don't remember. A long time. A long time. Has your father's business been going good? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. He's doing great. He's doing great. Yeah. His business is booming. Who else went to the movie with you? How about it? Or is it just the two of you? Yeah. They usually go out together. Who were you going to meet at the Cheesecake Factory? Harry, I don't remember his last name. Probably. We knew him a long time. Back from Jersey. Where does he live? He lives in like Howard or something like that. I think I've never been to his house. He's older, he's like 29 or something like that, my brother. Can you think of anything else that's going to help us? Our little dog, we had 2 dogs. The little dog was upstairs in my parents' bedroom when we called the police. And I don't know where my black dog is, and I need to find a black dog. Where is one of my puppies? Was the dog usually upstairs? Or is this unusual? He usually be upstairs alone. Maybe he heard something and he got scared. That's where he sleeps, in my parents' bedroom. But where does the black dog sleep? In my parents' bedroom, too. The black dog wasn't there. Do you sleep in the main house? Yeah. Yeah, I sleep in the main house. My bedroom. That's what I called my phone. Yeah. Do you have a separate line, or did you, I have a separate line. There's 3 lines in the house. What is your phone number, Rick? 272710495. Go with that one more time. 2710495. Try and think. When you left, was anybody around there?
All right, the record will reflect that the tape has been played.
Sergeant Edmonds, does that accurately reflect the interview that you had with Erik Menendez on the early morning of August 21st?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, it does.
Your Honor, there's a second tape of an interview with Lyle Menendez, and accompanying that is a transcript.
All right, we'll get to those things tomorrow then. We'll take our recess at this time, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll resume tomorrow at 9 o'clock. I'll remind you, you're still under oath, and you may resume your direct examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. Sergeant Edmonds, after you interviewed Erik Menendez, did you interview his brother, Joseph Lyle Menendez?
Yes, I did.
Did that interview take place about 1:42 a.m. on the
Yes.
21st of August?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I have the audio cassette tape of an interview of Lyle Menendez on 8/21/89, and I have the tape marked as Exhibit 42 and a transcript of that tape as 43.
Yes.
Thank you. With the court's permission, the counsel has seen the transcript and passes out to both juries.
All right.
Can I put the witness form?
Yes.
Sergeant Edmonds, I'm going to show you what's marked as Exhibit 43. Do you recognize that?
Yes, I do.
What does that appear to be?
Appears to be a cassette tape with the interview of Lyle Menendez, dated
42 or 43?
That's 42, I'm sorry, Your Honor. The transcript is 43. Everybody ready?
All right, is there a stipulation that the court reporter need not take down the contents of this tape as it's being played?
Yes.
So stipulated.
All right, I'll remind the jurors again that these transcripts are only an aid to your listening to the tape recordings. The tape recordings themselves are the evidence of the conversations, and the transcripts are just to assist you in following the tape as it's being played.
May I proceed, Your Honor?
Yes.
42 hours. I'm Sergeant Edmonds. Can you tell me, start this evening, you and your brother made plans to go out? I made plans with a friend of mine, Perry. What's Perry's last name? Perry Berman. To go to a function in Santa Monica. And we had no real plans for the day. We wanted to go see a movie. And we went to do that. And we left from there and went to see my friend, and he had left. That was Perry? So we're going to meet him somewhere, and we went to the house first, and well, when you left, was the gate in the front of the house closed? The gate was closed when we left. We left, the gates were closed all day. And unless, when I came back, I noticed that it was open, and I thought that maybe they had gone. When I saw the two cars, I thought maybe they were walking a dog. And I was thinking I was just going to drive around and look. And instead, I had to leave Paris, so I went in the house. I thought it was strange, it was late. And, I smelled smoke everywhere. And, when you left, where was your car parked when you left? My car parked in the garden. Your car was? Did you take your car? No, my car started, so I didn't take my car. Where was it parked? It's parked in the back. Usually parked in the back. So you stay in the guest house, right? Yeah, I went back there. So you left out the back or the front? We left out the back. So you don't really know if the gate... Normally we probably take my guest house on the weekend. We try my guest house to leave my brother's car in the back, but okay, and you went to the movies? Where at? Then after the movies you went where? The Civic Center in Santa Monica for the wine tasting thing next to around. My friend Harry was involved with it or something, and we went to meet him there. We weren't going to go, but I told him I was going to meet him there, so I went to work somewhere. Did you see him there? No, we looked around and, from once the people had left, there were a lot of cars, and we looked around and couldn't find him anywhere. And so I called his house by chance. We met him on a machine, and then I might have gotten back or whatever. He said that he had left early. He left like 10 to 2. And, I was a little bit upset, so I told him to meet him at this place, and we just put together and do something. We were down on the way out there, and where did you call him from? I called him from the Civic Center with my phone, yeah. The payphone? Yeah. And so you left a message that you'd meet him at the Cheesecake Factory? I talked to him. He answered the phone. Oh, he was home? Yeah. And he was there, and I heard that he came to. How come you went by the house? We went by the my brother should have had one, but we went by to pick up my brother. personally understand. If there's any problems, we've got to solve this. One of my concerns is that I don't like any bad press about my father now. Well, we're not reporters, we're policemen. What you tell us stays inside this room until it goes to court and we prosecute the people. We want these people, or a person, whoever did this, to answer for their crimes. So you've got to help us. Well, I can't imagine that my mother has never done. I've been with my mother. Usually my brother or I with my mother all the time. She's busy with us and working on the other house. And it's hard to say. I thought about a lot of things outside. I thought maybe that Mark said it might be a robbery or something, but from the looks of it, it didn't look like that. It looked like they definitely wanted to make a mess, and it was really sad. And so I don't know. I would think that unless they find things that are missing from the house or something strange like that, I think that it would be my father that would be the reason that it would happen there. He used to work for RCA Records, and it's a lot bigger than what he does now. He works in a smaller company, and with a group of people that, from the stories that he brings home and the people that I've met, is a real seedy group, and he was always very aware of that. And, I don't know if anyone would ever try to kill my father. He's under a lot of stress all the time, but like I was telling him, Mark, he's under stress. He's been under stress for a long time. So I was even with RCA, but I kind of seem to be enjoying the life more, and I can't imagine that there would be any problems, and that they have not gotten along well. Mostly because my dad is working on and stressed out, and he's basic executive, and his family comes first, and he works hard to help us out and provide for us, and it takes a lot out of my mother. So pretty much he doesn't involve us in the business too much. I worked for his company last year for a while, and it's just great. There's been a tremendous amount of business activity. I talked to my brother, who said that he's in a business where there's little small companies and they're being squeezed out and down, and my dad's pretty ruthless businessman. He believes in the bottom line, and we laughed a lot over a lot of stories and trying to push these guys out of line and that, and so it might be business related, but for sure my parents are clean of any drug activity or anything that we've been involved with. We've had some problems with gangs in the past, the last year and a half, 2 years. My brother was beat up, and they come to the house, we've had threats and things like that, but nothing recent. This house? Not this house. We've had some problems with this house. Some people come into the house, and my dad has sent them away. I remember one incident, but it's pretty much no problem. 4 days. My brother was on the tennis court one day a while back, and a gang came and beat him up, and my brother wanted to go to police, and we had all kinds of problems for a while. His car was destroyed, and was set out here. It was in the valley. It was in the valley. We only moved here a year ago. Yes, sir. I have no idea. I was traveling at the time. I heard about it only because my brother was in the hospital and that was all. You know, I heard that when I came back, that all died down. Were any of those incidents reported to the police? I believe so. I think we had some had the security person there guarding the house for a while. But I think my brother was I mean, it was in the paper or something. That was in Calabasas? I was in Calabasas. But I would think that would be all my brother's relation. I don't see why they would come around. I haven't talked to my brother. You mentioned fixing another house. What is that about? We have another house in the valley that we just rebuilt. Where is that? That's in Calabasas. Has there been any problems related to that? Yeah, every day my mother has a new problem with that house. Again, I don't like the people that she works with. They've had all kinds of arguments and money problems. Different contractors have been trying to build a house for like 2.5 years. And it's been a big problem. But there's been we never lived in it, so there's no problem. It's just not. Do you know any specific people that your dad has had business problems with these smaller companies? That are getting squeezed? Something that might be climaxing like this week where the pressure's really on him. He was on a road trip recently. He just got back actually a few days ago, last Thursday. Real stressful. He left early. I don't know what's going on. I mean, there's so much activity in the company. He's buying a lot of little companies, and recently he's been mentioning that all the other little companies are jealous and they're getting squeezed out, and it's a syndication business and it's going downhill, and he's having his company's going up, and surprisingly, and so the stock is really just doubled in the last 6 months, and he runs the show himself, and he doesn't really involve us too much. I don't know, it seems pretty legitimate, but I know that he's worried about it. What's the name of his company? His company's called International Video Entertainment, and they own a lot of little companies. Will you be able to provide us a list at some point in time of these companies, or his office? Yep, I could do that. We should be able to find out everything that's going on now. There's a person that's been a financial a long time that came looking from RCA. Everything he should work for. David King. Do you have David's phone number? Or you'll be able to get it? I did get it for you. I don't know. He was in the valley. He just lived there. How is it that this other man showed up at your house? The tennis instructor? My brother called him on the phone, and I called 911. And he's sort of a psychiatrist, a mentor thing for my brother and myself. He's a tennis pro, and we play a couple hours a day, and he's with us all the time. And he's really the only person we know out here other than parents. I don't know anybody. How do you know Perry? Perry used to live with me in New Jersey. And he lived back there. He's involved with the Tennessee State House, but he lived out here. We lived out here after him. He's basically the only one I kept in contact with. And do you work now? No. I'm supposed to go back to school. To Princeton? Yeah. What year are you in back then? Sophomore. Can you think of anything else that's going to, or anything that's going to help us at all to solve this? Somebody has to be involved in this, and it's got to be somebody that's real serious. I'd have to think ahead. Have there been any phone calls, suspicious phone calls to the house, or any suspicious visitors?
The house is pretty open. I mean, people are always coming in and out. I never really liked the situation. I never thought my mother was safe or anything because there are always people coming in and out. The phone is ringing 24 hours a day. There are a lot of messages left in the machine. And my dad would get a lot of phone calls at night, which is unusual, actually. We never used to take phone calls at night. He take a lot at night now and do a lot more family, a lot more lunches, and stuff like that. His business more free than the night time. I could see how he could step on a lot of toes. He's very curt. He treats my brother and I, well, but firm and he's a strong disciplinary thing. He holds the family together well and he's the main show. And at work, just the same way, you know, he yells at a lot of people and he's in the show. So I don't know, I have no idea. I can't imagine. You know, he's not involved with huge amounts of money, so I don't know why.
There's not a lot of money in these companies that are getting...
Well, there's a lot of money in it, and it's a lot of money, and yes. It's not like a huge company like RCA, like he was running, but it used to be a real small, nothing company that these two guys bought that run Chemical Corporation, they're just producers, and it was a mess, and he got there and he cleaned it up, and he basically fired a whole lot of people, and just sort of ran the business himself, brought some people from his other company, and just started firing people, and his motto was a deal a day, and it's been like at a lightning pace. Every day a new story, and real exciting stuff, and manipulation, and it seems fun. I mean, we joke sometimes that it's amazing that these people are obviously not happy about all this. You squeeze out a lot of weaker people, but that's the way to believe. You know, if you're weak, you lose. But everything was legitimate. Everything was,
Was he born in the United States?
he was born in Cuba.
Does he have any ties with Cuba now?
As far as I know, I have zero. He's never gone back. He's not thinking of going back. He was essentially running for political office, so that's one of the reasons I think that everything was very clean.
What type of political office?
Senate.
In California?
After 2 weeks, he was going to move to Florida. That's what he sort of planned. We discussed plans a lot. We've all discussed a lot. He was a great man, a young man. He did always, he had full control of his life. He did what he wanted. And my mother's a great tragedy, you know.
How is that?
That's the hardest thing for me is people like that. Because she never really got to do anything with her life. You know, she sort of served with my father, and I don't think he treated her very well. And things were kind of getting better. He was a home more often and stuff, and we just went on a fishing trip, and we were more together, and
When you arrived home, you said you smelled smoke in the house. Where was that smoke?
I came in through the foyer, and
You unlocked the house with a key? Put it in the sofa? That's unusual or no?
that is unusual nowadays. I've gotten locked out of the house over and over and over again because my mother just seems to lock. We never used to lock the house, but we never used to close the gate. And she seemed real worried about things. In fact, she recently bought a rifle. So we have 2 rifles in the house, and we felt that she was nervous about something because she went out and just bought a rifle and didn't tell my dad why or anything, and that's the first thing I suspected when I walked in the house. But
What type of rifles were there?
my brother, the other ones that we have are old, just, pellet rifles. I don't know, we just use them for target practice. They're old. Only this one she was a little nicer, but I don't remember anything, not much different. But that was real strange. I was nervous. My mother, this was, last. Sometimes my son owned my brother and my brother, but she was on the verge, cosplaying suicide. Very, very edgy, suicidal type personality in the last 2 years. And, but she seemed very stable and recently. My dad's been fine. I never really got a chance to sit there and talk to her.
After you got home and you found them, did you guys move anything from within the room?
I remember I went over and I sort of looked around and I remember I was only there for a few minutes and I couldn't take my mother out, and the smell was bad, and I went back to look outside, and there was nothing. I went back in, my brother was standing there, and I went back in, and he was downstairs in the room, so I didn't know what he was doing. I was on the phone.
How long do you think from the time you entered the house till you called the police?
Right away. As soon as I got my brother on the phone, I went upstairs to call 911. And the police responded pretty quick.
How long, why did you go upstairs to call? Isn't there a phone downstairs?
Yeah, my brother ran upstairs. He was going to start running up the bathroom, and he was trying to scream. He thought he was running to my mother's room, and I called, and then I ran to his room. He was on the phone.
Was there a gun in the room when you got home? Where they were?
I really can't remember. I tried not to look.
Because I haven't been up there.
I looked around a bit. It was just a mess. And then shot 7 times.
Both of them?
I can't remember if there was any. Yeah, both of them. My mother was on the floor, and my dad was on the couch, and
Who would they have let in the house?
I don't know. We already eaten, and we were going to call for Chinese food, and we decided they wanted to cook instead, so we weren't expecting anyone to the house. And my dad had no friends to stop by, and my mother, we don't know any of the neighbors or anything, we wouldn't let anyone in. During the day, people would come in all the time, but at night, nobody. It doesn't seem like they heard anything because they were on the couch and my dad was telling me the other guy was my dad's usually pretty good to hear something, so when he gets up right away it runs over. And so I'm really surprised that I didn't see him on the couch like that. My mother's on the floor, like she was trying to get away from them. She wasn't just slumped back. She was like,
Now, the gate, is it open manually or is it electronic gate?
electronically.
How do you open it?
With open it. You can open it from inside the house.
But would somebody need to know? If I went over to your house, how would I open the gate?
You would just ring that thing on the side, speak into it, somebody would answer and let you in.
So somebody would have to admit me into the house.
If you came in front of the house.
Yeah.
Well, if you wanted to get a car in there, you could climb it. My brother and I climb it all the time.
But if I was in the house, in order to get out,
You would,
how would I know where the control is? Is it obvious?
it's not obvious. I mean, it's the thing on the wall in the living room is his door. And push it. I mean, it's obvious if you know things like that, but it's not obvious. Those little door things that you click are all over the house. I usually, if I...
They're like a garage door
Yeah,
opener.
that's what it is. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't work. So,
And were the cards in the same position when you left as they were when you returned?
pretty much. I mean, I can't tell anyway. I mean, I just know that they were like that.
What would be the purpose of the person that did this, or persons, to open the gate? If I went over it to get in,
Unless you were trying to move things out, I wouldn't know. I would think there would be no purpose. Unless you wanted to get in so that you weren't seen walking around. If it's sort of enclosed. But I would think that, I wouldn't know. I'm not so sure that they didn't just maybe open the gate for some other reason. I mean, I think it kind of goes back and forth whether it's open or closed. They weren't trying to leave the house, so and the gate was closed last time I checked.
what time was that, if you remember?
So right before we went to a movie, I took a ride on one of the scooter we had, and I opened the gate and I closed it. Everything's ready on.
One of these little, like a Honda or Yamaha?
Yeah, and then a little leak on the thing.
Excuse me just a second. Pardon me?
What was that?
Well, the investigator that are up there just called and wanted me to ask you and your brother if anybody had known you guys were going somewhere tonight.
Terry, my brother and I frequent a lot of movies and go and do things together at night a lot. And my feeling is that they would, they wouldn't know. I mean, it's unusual that we would go on a Sunday, but that we would, that is unusual. You know, we'd see a movie, but we wouldn't go anywhere afterwards and stuff like that. It's just that I had this plan with Karen, so we kind of made it split along on with Karen there. And, I don't think anybody would know. There's no way, I mean, it was up. Just fine. I'm trying to think, my brother called everybody, talked to anybody, but I don't. You know, I really can't do it.
Do you have some place you can stay the night?
Yeah, I'd go with Mark.
I'm sorry I had to put you through this. We'll probably get to know each other pretty well before this is over. Just we're going to have to get information.
I'm glad that I was able to talk to you because the other officer wasn't uncomfortable. I didn't appreciate it. I asked a lot of questions, the same questions that you're asking me while my daughter's crying on the ground. And I understand why they didn't want us to go in the house. You know, I tried. But I do have a few questions. They're not going to leave my parents there. I'm a little edgy about just leaving. I'd like to, know what. I don't know what goes on. I was kind of hoping somebody would know what to do.
I'll tell you the whole program. The reason we don't want you to go in the house, besides the trauma that it would create for you, is that it disturbs things that might solve the case. Evidence that whoever did this may have left inadvertently can get disturbed and ruined. And that's the main reason why, the two reasons we don't want you to be further traumatized by going in there. And second of all, screwing something up, touching something that could be the key to the whole thing. But we'll use as much care as we can not to ruin things ourselves. But we have to do certain things to try and uncover evidence, find out who did this. And that's the main reason why we don't want you essentially in the way. And also, it just add to your trauma. This is going to conclude the interview at 02:18 hours on 8/21.
And the tape has been played. All right, you may proceed.
Thank you. Sergeant Edmonds, did that accurately reflect the interview that you had with Joseph Lyle Menendez at 1:42 a.m. on August 21st, 1989?
Sure.
Sergeant Edmonds, do you recall how the defendants were dressed when they came in for the interview?
I believe that one of the two men had a black jacket on, and they were very neatly dressed, but I don't remember specifically. It was like sport clothes.
Excuse me, Your Honor, could we move the microphone?
Yes, please.
Did their clothes appear to be clean to you?
Yes.
Was there any blood spatters on their clothing?
No.
The defendants were not suspects at that time, were they?
No, sir.
Are you familiar with what is called the gunshot residue test?
Yes, I am.
Would you describe just generally what that means for the jurors?
If somebody fires a firearm, the primer, which discharges around, splatters on the hands.
Pardon me, could I go and move the tape recorder so the other juror can see? Thank you.
There's like gas comes out of the round that's fired, and it would be on the hands, usually both hands if it's a two-handed shooter, and if it's a one-handed shooter, it would be on the shooting hand, and maybe, it's like exhaust fumes in a car, only it comes out of the the cartridge when the primer is detonated. And there's a test where chemicals are put on a swab, and you swab the hands, and it can tell if there's I think there are nitrates in the would still be on the hands after the weapons are fired.
Sergeant Edmonds, if you had suspected the defendants of committing these killings, would you have performed or had the gunshot residue test performed on the defendants?
Yes.
Was one of the reasons why you did not because the defendants had accounted for their whereabouts that night?
I'm going to object as needed.
Sustained.
What were some of the reasons why you did not suspect the defendants at that time, sir?
Well, they had accounted for their whereabouts, and it was too early on to make any conclusions that who might be a suspect. And I had no reason to believe they were any better suspect than anybody else, and I didn't have a clue that they were involved.
Thank you. I have no further questions at this time.
Cross-examination.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Sergeant Edmonds, just to give the jury a little context for these interviews, you first heard about this case at about 1 o'clock in the morning when someone called your house and woke you up. Is that correct?
Yeah, I would say about 1 o'clock.
And after you received that telephone call, I assume you got up and got dressed and went down to the Beverly Hills Police Department. Is that correct?
Yes, I took a shower as well.
Took a shower as well. And then you dressed and you went down to the police department.
Correct.
And I assume from that you didn't go to the crime scene, you went directly to the police department.
Yes.
And at that point, were Lyle and Erik Menendez already at the police station?
Yes, they were.
And was there some discussion within your department, people involved in the investigation in the case, as to who was going to conduct the interviews of the two brothers at that point?
No.
Did you decide you were going to conduct the interviews?
Yes.
And was one of the reasons that you decided you would do it because you had some experience, and in fact some vast experience, in interviewing both suspects and witnesses?
Yes, and I was the one that was at the station.
At 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning?
Correct.
All right. Now, where were the Menendez brothers when you first saw them?
I believe that they were in the working area of the detectives with Officer Angel and possibly one other officer.
And was it your understanding that Officer Angel was an officer with the Beverly Hills Police Department who had transported the brothers from the Elm Drive residence down to your department?
Yes, sir.
Now, on the tape of the Lyle Menendez interview, there is reference made at 2 different points to a person named Mark, and also to a tennis coach or what Lyle Menendez refers to as a psychiatrist or somebody like a psychiatrist. Did you know who he was referring to on that tape?
Yes, I do.
Who was that?
It was Mark Heffernan.
And was that someone who was also with the 2 brothers when you first met them?
Yes, he was. Well, he wasn't with them, but he was present in the room.
What was your understanding as to how he got involved?
Well, I didn't know initially. I believe it came out in the interviews how he was involved, or The officers might have told me he was their tennis coach. I didn't know how he related to it initially.
You eventually interviewed him, is that correct?
Yes, I did.
And that interview with Mr. Heffernan was conducted after your interview with Lyle Menendez?
It was after, yes.
And so the sequence was first you interviewed Erik, correct?
Yes.
That interview took approximately 20 minutes?
Yes, sir.
And then immediately thereafter you interviewed Lyle Menendez?
Yes, sir.
And then because Mark Heffernan was right there at the station, you interviewed him, correct?
Correct.
And then after you interviewed Mr. Heffernan, you also arranged to have Perry Berman, the person mentioned in Lyle Menendez's interview, come into the police station, correct?
Yes, sir.
And he arrived at about 4 o'clock in the morning.
I don't recall what time, but
Roughly.
he did arrive, yes.
And you conducted a tape-recorded interview with him as well, did you not?
I believe so.
And was one of the purposes of that interview to basically check out whether the information Lyle Menendez had given to you was accurate?
No.
What was the purpose of the interview?
To develop another potential witness and to determine his whereabouts in relationship to the story I received, because as you noted, he was one of the people that knew the boys had left home. In fact, he was probably the only person that knew the boys left home, so he could have been a part of it.
So he was naturally one of the first people you wanted to talk to in the course of your preliminary investigation, correct?
Yes.
Right. You said earlier, by the way, in your direct examination near the end of it, that the Menendez brothers were not suspects. Do you remember that testimony?
Yes, they were not.
They were not. And would it be fair to say that you hadn't eliminated them or anyone else as suspects?
That's true.
And was that just based on your general way that you conduct cases of this nature?
Yes, I thought it'd be foolish to eliminate anybody.
Now, when you first met Lyle and Erik Menendez, was there some preliminary discussion before you turned the tape recorder on?
I think so.
Could you tell me as best as you can recall 4 years later what that discussion was?
Yeah, I believe I got their horsepower, their driver's license, identifiers. And I asked them if they wanted coffee or creature comforts, go to the bathroom and so forth.
And
And I explained who I was.
And then did you take Erik Menendez someplace else to conduct the interview with him?
Yes, there's a little interview room. At the time this happened, we were in temporary quarters in a trailer, multiple trailers hooked together. And adjacent to the detective room, there was a small interview room.
And Lyle Menendez was waiting somewhere else while you were interviewing Erik, is that correct?
Yes.
Now, during the course of your interview with Erik Menendez, you formed certain impressions about his emotional state, isn't that true?
Yes, I did.
And during the course of your contact with him, you decided that he was very distraught and quite emotional, isn't that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you also formed the impression as a result of talking to him that he was obviously in a lot of trauma, emotional trauma.
Yes, I did.
Heavy trauma, correct?
Yes.
And in fact, the trauma with respect to Erik was so pronounced in your view that you had to stop the interview at some point, isn't that true?
Yes, I did.
In other words, you weren't finished with the questions you wanted to ask him at the end of the tape that the jury just heard.
No, you're correct.
And the last thing on the tape, at least from what we can hear, is Erik crying, is that correct?
Yes, he was.
After the tape went off, you spent a certain amount of time consoling him and trying to make him stop crying, is that correct?
Well, I didn't try to make him stop crying, but I consoled him.
And after you finished doing that, you then went out and brought Lyle in, is that right?
Yes, I did.
Was there any discussion between the two brothers before the interview with Lyle Menendez?
Yes, there was.
Could you tell me what the discussion was?
Erik told Lyle that it was okay to talk to me, that I was okay.
And that was it? No other discussion?
Not that I recall.
All right, now as to Lyle Menendez, during the course of your interview with him, you formed certain impressions about his emotional state, isn't that true?
Yes, I did.
And it was your judgment, based on your experience in interviewing not only witnesses in lots of cases, but also suspects, that although he was clear-cut and precise in his answers, he was also showing obvious signs to you that he was traumatized, isn't that correct?
At certain points, not all the way through the conversation.
But your overall impression of him was that he was someone who was traumatized, isn't that correct?
I think occasionally he was traumatized. I wouldn't say it was my overall impression of him, no.
Well, do you remember testifying in this courtroom at a pretrial hearing back in May of this year?
Yes, I do.
And do you remember being asked at that time a series of questions about your impressions and opinions concerning whether the brothers were traumatized that night?
Yes, I do. I'm certain he was traumatized.
Do you remember making the statement at that time, these kids were traumatized?
Yes, they were.
And do you remember being asked the question, would it be fair to say that the emotions you were observing in regard to Lyle Menendez that night were real emotions? And your answer, yes, I think Lyle's emotions were real. He was very crystal clear and precise, but he was showing signs to me that he was traumatized, and I think they were sincere. Question, did he appear sorrowful? Sorrowful, yes. Question, and somber, I think you testified. Your answer, yeah. Do you remember giving that testimony?
Yes, I do.
And is that accurate testimony in terms of your impressions of his general demeanor during and after and before the time that you were interviewing Lyle Menendez that evening?
Yes, I think so.
Is it true that one of the reasons you knew Erik Menendez was upset and traumatized was just from his body language?
That was one of the reasons, yes.
And what were the others?
In fact, he was crying.
And how about with respect to Lyle Menendez?
Just general, his pallor and just general demeanor, and he appeared very stiff, and I could tell he was bothered.
Now, is it also true that near the end of that interview, you told Lyle Menendez that he was not going to be able to stay at the house after you finished the interview with him?
Yes.
And they indicated to you or asked you whether it was all right if they stayed with Mark, the tennis coach who was there, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Do you know after you issued that instruction to them that they could not stay in the house, whether they went back to the house to obtain their clothing and other items that they needed to go stay with Mark?
I didn't know it at the time, but I subsequently believe they did, yes.
And did you learn that from Detective Zoller?
I think so.
On the tape with Lyle Menendez, there is mention of some problem with gangs in Calabasas. Do you recall that part of
Yes, I
the
do.
tape? And you asked him whether a police report was made concerning that incident?
Yes.
Was there in fact a police report made concerning a problem that Erik Menendez had with a group of gang members in Calabasas?
I don't recall.
Do you know if Detective Zoller conducted an investigation to find out whether or not in fact a report had been made?
Well, I'm certain that he conducted an investigation. I just don't remember now seeing the report.
At some point during the interview, Lyle Menendez mentioned that he smelled smoke. Do you recall that?
He said he saw smoke and smelled smoke.
And did that, in your mind, as an experienced investigator, raise a certain suspicion?
Yes, it did.
Could you explain to the juries why?
Well, I felt that if you saw smoke, it would have had to have been pretty shortly after the guns were fired, because it would dissipate, smoke would dissipate fairly rapidly. And later on, I found a window had been shot out, which even confirmed my suspicions more that the smoke would have left the room.
Now, before these interviews, you had never met the Menendez brothers before, is that correct?
No,
They had never met you,
no,
and as far as you knew, they had no idea how you were going to react to the information that you were giving them, is that correct?
correct.
And if your suspicions had been raised just a little bit further as a result of that statement about the smoke, you might at that point have asked them to submit to this gunshot residue test, isn't that right?
If I'd have been more suspicious, I may have, yes.
And that was really within your control. They had no idea how you were going to respond to the information that you were giving them, correct?
Yes,
And in fact, had you done that, this investigation would have taken a much different course than it eventually did. Isn't that true? Could I have 1 minute, Your Honor? Thank you. Just one more question, one more area of questioning, Sergeant Edmond. During the course of the interview with Lyle Menendez, there's a statement to the effect that, quote, "My dad is usually pretty deaf to hear something, so when he gets up right away, and so I was really surprised." Do you recall that part of the interview?
yes, I do.
The transcript says deaf. Is that what you recall, or is it my dad was usually pretty good to hear something?
I think it was that he said his dad was pretty deaf.
Deaf as in hard of hearing?
Yeah, but then he said, but if he hears something, he's quick to react.
The transcript says, "My dad is usually pretty deaf to hear something, so when he gets up right away, and so I was really surprised that he was sitting on the couch like that." Is that how you remember it?
How I remember it, or the gist I got from it, was that his dad didn't hear very well, but if he heard something, he would get up and check it out, as I interpret it.
Now, 2 days ago, the jury heard a brief portion of a tape recording. The jury's heard brief portions of a tape recording in which a woman by the name of Averill Crum has identified her voice on the tape as saying that what she heard that night was sounds. They went like pop, 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 pop. And were you the officer who conducted that interview?
Yes, sir.
And was that statement made by Averill Crum to you at about 11:30 in the morning?
Yes,
The very next
the 21st.
would have been the same morning you were conducting the interviews with the Menendez brothers.
Yes,
Is it true that after the interviews with the Menendez brothers, Heffernan, and Berman, you then went out to the crime scene and conducted some interviews out there?
yes.
And that's when the interview took place with Ms. Crum?
Well, I told you in the hallway that that interview took place at her house. I subsequently, after reading your notes, it took place at the station because that's where we had the book with car pictures in it.
Okay.
I'm fairly certain that I talked to her up in the street earlier when it was still dark. And then later on, Josh and Jennifer and Mrs. Crum came to the station.
And that interview that was conducted at the state, when you say you looked at my notes, what you looked at was a transcript of the interview, correct?
Yes,
And that interview was conducted with Averill Crum and her two children, Josh Crum and Jennifer Crum, correct?
yes, sir.
And during the course of that interview, Josh Crum said, "I was in the middle of watching a movie on the Korean airline that got shot down, and it was about halfway in between the movie, and it was around 10, about 10, and I started hearing shots, about 6 in a row." And then your question, And Mrs. Crum, you also heard them? And Averill Crum answered, I heard them too, but I thought they were Chinese firecrackers because they went like pop, 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 pop. Is that what she told you that night?
Yes,
Or that
sir.
morning?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, that's all I have.
Cross-examination by the other defendant.
Thank you, Your Honor. I just have a couple of questions. Sergeant Edmonds, did you discontinue your interview with Erik because his emotional state changed?
Yes.
Okay, and had his emotional state deteriorated to the point where you just couldn't have intelligent conversation with him?
Yes, ma'am. I didn't want to have him suffer asking him questions.
Now, you've told us that he was crying at the time you terminated the interview. In addition to crying, were there any physical signs that you saw of trauma?
Well, he had his head down periodically, and
Was he shaking?
I don't recall him shaking.
Do you recall testifying at a pretrial hearing in this court that at the time you terminated the interview that Erik was crying and shaking?
It's possible. I don't remember.
Would looking at the transcript help you
Yes, it would.
remember? May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. I'm showing you transcript. Could you look at the this underlined portion and see if that helps you remember?
Yes, ma'am. That's what it says.
Okay, so that refreshes your recollection
Yes.
that Erik was shaking at the time you terminated the interview.
Yes.
Now, Sergeant Edmonds, when you first saw Erik, you've told us that you believe that he was traumatized, correct?
When I first saw him,
Yes, and during the time that you saw him on the
Yes.
20th. Is it your belief still today that he was traumatized when you saw him?
yes.
Thank you, I have nothing further.
Any redirect?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Sergeant Edmonds, you've testified that you had never met the defendants before you interviewed them on the morning of August 21st, 1989. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Did you have any knowledge that Erik Menendez was an aspiring actor at that time?
Objection, Your Honor.
Objection sustained.
Ask Virginia to be admonished.
Well, let me see counsel decide about
Sergeant Edmonds, sometime later on the morning of August 21st, did you actually go to the crime scene?
Yes, I did.
Now, when Lyle Menendez in his interview stated, my mother was on the floor like she was trying to get away or something, were you able to go to the crime scene to determine whether or not that made sense, his statement made sense?
By the time I got to the crime scene, the bodies were removed.
So you didn't actually see them at 722 North Elm?
No, I didn't. Only photographs.
Thank you. I have nothing further at this time, Your Honor.
it. Any reading cross?
No, Your Honor.
Sergeant Edmonds, you've been a police officer for 32 years,
Yes, ma'am.
and you have a considerable amount of experience in interviewing both
Yes.
suspects and witnesses and crime victims.
Yes, I do.
And you think, based on your years of experience in that area, you have a pretty good feeling for people.
I think so.
Oh, thank you. I have nothing further.
Anything else? All right, thank you. We'll sit down.
Thank you.
We have two separate juries, and we've been involved in jury selection, one jury at a time, and you've just been introduced on Tuesday to the participants for the first time, so let me do it once more here so that everyone knows the name that goes with the face that's at council table here, and then we'll get on with our testimony. First, I'll just go down the road here and introduce people at council table. First of all, Michael Burt, if you would stand. He is one of the attorneys for Lyle Menendez. Then Lyle Menendez, would you stand? And then Ms. Jill Lansing is the other attorney for Lyle Menendez. Ms. Leslie Abramson, she's one of the attorneys for Erik Menendez. Mr. Erik Menendez. And Ms. Marcia Morrissey, and she's the other lawyer for Erik Menendez. Mrs. Pamela Bozanich, she's one of the deputy district attorneys. And Mr. Lester Kuriyama, he's the other deputy district attorney. And the other gentleman at council table will be the next witness, so he'll be introduced when we have him called as a witness. So now let's proceed with the next witness. You may call him to the witness stand, please.
People call Deputy Dwight Van Horn. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you may give in the cause now pending before this court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Please take a stand and state your name for record.
Dwight Van Horn, last name V-A-N-H-O-R.
All right.
Deputy Van Horn, what do you do for a living, please?
I'm a deputy sheriff for Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, assigned to the Scientific Services Bureau Firearms Identification Section as a firearms examiner.
Do you work in the same building with Mr. Catalani, who was here yesterday?
Yes, I do.
Now, in addition to being a firearms examiner, are you also a sworn deputy sheriff?
Yes, I am.
Okay. How long have you been a firearms examiner, sir?
Since September of 1985.
And prior to that time, did you receive any training in using firearms?
Yes.
And was it the basic kind of training that you get at the Sheriff's Academy, or did you have any additional training before 1985?
The training at the Sheriff's Academy, yes, ma'am.
Did you have any military training?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and what kind was that, please?
I was in the Air Force and I was in the Air Police when I was in the Air Force.
Now, starting in 1985, what kind of training and education did you get in order to become an expert at examining firearms?
I first worked under the direct supervision of 5 other firearms examiners who had in excess of 40 years' experience in the field of firearms identification. They allowed me to read and become familiar with most of the leading periodicals and publications that relate to firearms identification. I've had the opportunity to tour and attend study groups with most of the leading manufacturers of ammunition and firearms located here on the West Coast. During the course of my training, I attended 2 courses at the Federal Bureau of Investigation in Quantico, Virginia, relating to firearms identification.
Now, let me interrupt you for a moment. The courses that you took at the FBI, what kind of courses were they, and for how long did each one of them last?
Each course was a week long. The first week was the gunpowder and gunshot residue school, which also included pattern determinations. The second school, also a week long, was a crime scene investigation school.
All right, I've interrupted you. Please continue.
I'm a member of the Association of Firearms and Toolmark Examiners and a member of their safety committee. I'm a technical advisor to the International Wound Ballistics Association, and this past summer and the summer before last, I served on the California Department of Justice Committee on determining the identification criteria for assault weapons. During the course of my duties, I have test fired in excess of 6,000 firearms, made in excess of 10,000 ballistic comparisons, and testified as a firearms expert in federal, superior, and municipal courts on 159 prior occasions.
159 precisely?
Prior occasions.
Okay. Deputy Van Horn, in this particular case, did you have an opportunity to make any ballistic comparisons?
Basically, there were ballistic identifications. There was no comparisons per se made in this case.
Okay, could you explain to us what a ballistic comparison is, please?
One of the primary things that a firearms examiner does is to determine if bullets or cartridge cases or some other ammunition component was fired from a particular firearm. And that is done by comparing evidence that is submitted to you against test fires from firearms that are submitted to you, and the comparisons are made by way of a comparison microscope to see if the evidence that you received and the test fires have the same individual characteristics that allow you to say that they're fired from the same gun.
In other words, if I had a gun and I wanted to know if that gun had fired a bullet which had been recovered from someplace else, would you then fire a test bullet through the gun and compare the two bullets, the one that I wanted to know about and the one that you fired from the gun?
Yes, ma'am.
And then you would compare the bullets to see if, in fact, the one I was curious about had, in fact, been fired from that gun?
Yes.
Okay. You did not perform anything like that in this case, correct?
No.
Now, is it possible for that kind of comparison to be made when shotgun shells are used?
Yes.
Okay. But shotguns don't use bullets, they use something else, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Your Honor, I have here a diagram. I'd like to have it and its companion marked as Peoples, I believe, 44.
Are they separate diagrams?
They're copies of each other.
44.
Yes. This is exhibit 44, which is rather crudely done by me. On the left side, there appears to be a piece of Xerox paper with some drawings on it. And I'd like to ask you what these represent.
They represent the 4 stages of a shotgun pattern as it opens up as the muzzle of the firearm gets farther away from the target.
And what is it that's different between a bullet that goes through like a handgun or a rifle as compared with a shotgun? What is the difference in types of ammunition?
Well, a handgun or a rifle generally fires a cartridge that contains a single projectile. A shotgun usually fires a cartridge, or in this case a shot shell, that generally contains multiple projectiles. It can contain one projectile, and that's called a slug, but generally shotgun shells are loaded with pellets.
Your Honor, I have here another exhibit. I'd like to have it marked as Peoples 45, excuse me, exhibit 45. Would you describe what it is that's depicted on this exhibit, please?
Well, on the left side of the exhibit depicts a cross-section of a loaded round of shot shell ammunition containing what's commonly referred to as birdshot, or rather small pellets. It shows the different components of that shot shell. And on the right, another cutaway drawing of a loaded shot shell depicting double-aught buckshot, which buckshot is a larger pellets, larger than birdshot.
Referring now to the composition of birdshot, could you briefly describe how it is that the shell is constructed when there's birdshot involved? We've heard some testimony about wadding, so why don't you start with wadding?
Okay, basically there's 2 types of wadding. The wadding that's currently loaded in buckshot, which was depicted on the display on 45 on the right, generally consists of 3 pieces of wadding. Immediately at the bottom of the shotgun shell, you can see some granular material. That's gunpowder. Right on top of the gunpowder is the first wad that you would encounter in a shotgun shell, and that's referred to as an over-powder wad.
Deputy Van Horn, what is the purpose of a wad?
A wad is a spacing material, and it keeps things in their proper order inside the shotgun shell. It keeps the gunpowder from slipping up with the shot pellets, and the shot pellets from mixing down with the powder.
After the over-powder wad, what comes next?
Once again, talking about the shell that's depicted on the right side of 45, the next in order up from the over-powder wad would be either spacer or filler wads. And what they do is exactly that. They take up space, or they fill up space inside the shotgun shell. Then immediately on top of the spacer or filler wads would be the buckshot. And then at the very top is the enclosed portion of the shotgun shell, and that's done by means of what's called a star crimp, as you can see displayed in the right side of Peoples 45.
Now then, let's refer back to Peoples 44, which is up on the board, is the bigger one. On the left-hand side is a Xerox of some circles, and then to the right is the last one that appears to be a circle made up of smaller circles. I believe you indicated that those are indicators of patterns that are made by shotgun shells.
Shot pellets, yes, ma'am.
Shot pellets, okay. Could you tell us, first of all, did you examine any kind of weapon in regards to this particular case? That is, did you have a weapon to examine to see if it had been used in this case?
No.
Okay. would it be fair to say that in order to make exact determinations of how far away one is from something that is hit to make such a pattern, that you actually need the exact weapon?
Yes, you do.
Okay, and why is that?
Well, with the shotgun, it's especially important. Within a shotgun barrel, the length of the barrel can vary from as short as 18.5 inches up to approximately 32 inches. Then, to further complicate things as far as the shotgun goes, inside the barrel of the shotgun at the muzzle, which is the very front end of a barrel of a firearm, the manufacturers have different chokes. And
okay, what's a choke?
what a choke does, it's a constriction. It actually constricts the end of the shotgun barrel from its normal diameter to a smaller diameter, and that's generally found on longer barrel shotguns. And the purpose for that is to keep the pattern tighter for greater distances for hunting or sporting purposes.
So in the questions I'm going to ask you about these patterns, are your answers very general because of the fact that you don't have a weapon?
That's correct.
All right. Now, referring to the top circle, which appears to be just a piece of black, what is that supposed to indicate there in Exhibit 44?
Well, that would indicate the pattern of a multiple projectile load, whether it was buckshot or birdshot, from a distance of contact, in other words, the barrel of the shotgun right up against the target, to some distance. Whatever that distance would be would once again vary upon the shotgun, the length of the barrel, and the type of ammunition that was used. The next one down in order would be at some distance greater than contact, and at what we see here in the second circle is on the inside is actually what we're looking at here. And you can see the inside edges are scalloped. And what that depicts is as the shotgun pellet pattern gets further away from the muzzle, the pellets start to open up and spread. The spread there, we can start to see some individual pellets making their own mark, but they're still part of the solid group of pellets that's going down range.
Okay, now the third one down, which is a circle that has circles both inside and out of it.
Okay, that would depict, at that point, the pattern has now reached a distance away from the muzzle of the shotgun where individual pellets are starting to break away from the group of pellets, and they're called satellite or independent pellet strikes. But the bulk of the pattern is still pretty much concentrated together.
And to the right of the one about which you were just speaking, there appears to be a circle made up of little circles. What is that supposed to indicate?
That would indicate at a distance that would be greater than the third picture, the third one from the top, where all the pellets are now separated and each individual pellet is making its own strike on a target.
Now, starting back with the one at the top, which I believe on the diagram has a little A next to it, so that would be a contact wound, is that correct?
That would be contact and out to some distance, yes, ma'am.
Okay, can you give us a distance?
No, I'd really not rather do that.
Okay, because you don't have a weapon?
I don't have a weapon, and I don't have precisely the brand of ammunition that was used, which would also affect the range.
All right, so the only thing you can say then, would that be true with the other three?
Yes, it would.
May I finish, please?
Yes.
All right, so all you can say then is that pellet patterns range in looks from the one at the top all the way down to the one here, is that correct?
That's correct.
All right, and then after this one, which I think I'm going to mark as D, Your Honor, because it's not marked. Right. After that, do they continue to just get bigger and bigger?
Yes, they do.
All right. So this then demonstrates the way in which the pattern spreads, is that correct?
That's correct.
Now, I believe you've indicated something about birdshot and buckshot and double shot. Could you explain, for those of us who might not understand or know about this, what is the difference between birdshot and buckshot, and what is the purpose of that?
The purpose of what is commonly referred to as birdshot is basically that it's for hunting birds or very small animals. And the purpose of buckshot is either as a defensive round of ammunition or to shoot larger game.
Right. And traditionally, how many little pellets of birdshot would there be in a 12-gauge shotgun shell?
It would depend on the size of the shot, and then it would also depend upon the size of the shot charge that was placed into that particular shot shell.
All right. Well, can you give us an idea? Are we talking about 10, 20, 50?
In birdshot?
Yes, in birdshot.
In birdshot, let's say it was number 7.5, which is generally about the smallest size of birdshot that's available, the pellet would range somewhere from about 350 pellets for a 1-ounce load of birdshot, which is a fairly standard load, up to probably as many as 530 pellets for 1.5 ounces, which would be considered a heavy load.
Okay, now when you're talking about load, are you talking about one shotgun shell could hold anywhere from those two ranges?
Yes.
All right. So in this particular case, you have no idea how many birdshot pellets were there. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, could you tell us about buckshot? Traditionally, in one shotgun shell, how many pellets of buckshot would you expect to find of number 4 buckshot?
The standard loading for number 4 buckshot contains 27 pellets of 24 caliber size shot pellets.
27 pellets, is that correct?
Yes.
And how about number 3 buckshot? Do you know?
Number 3 buckshot, in the same as a standard load, if there is such a thing for number 3 buck anymore, would probably be about 23 or 24.
Okay. Now, when you say any more, what does that mean?
It's not commonly encountered. Number 3 buckshot is not commonly encountered.
All right. Did you have an opportunity to look at some evidence involving this case?
Yes, I did.
All right. May I approach, please? All right. I'm looking at what's been marked as 16C, which is item number 11. I'm going to open this once again. Inside there appears to be a piece of plastic that I would like you to tell me about.
Okay, this piece of plastic is a combination wad column. It's a 12 wad column. It's made out of plastic, and it's commonly used with birdshot type loads.
Okay, and that would be what is exhibited on the right side of Exhibit 45?
Yes.
Okay. Now, may I just show this to the jury quickly?
The left side of 45.
So the thing that I'm holding up right now for the jury, which is 16C, this is a form of wadding, is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Why don't you just pass it around?
Okay.
You can continue your examination.
Yes, I shall. Referring now to what has been marked as 16G, open it. And you previously examined everything in both of these envelopes, 16 and 17?
Yes, I have.
I'm just going to use somebody as examples. All right, this appears, this is item 5A for the record, out of 16G. I'd like to ask you what this is, please.
That's a 12-gauge plastic over powder shot wad.
We're not going to be able to pass all of these things around for various reasons. One of them is that we have to maintain some way of documenting where they all came from, and we don't want to lose track of them. And secondly, it takes quite a bit of time to pass all the exhibits around, and really doesn't serve that great a purpose. You'll have the exhibits during deliberations. As you've noticed during the trial, we haven't shown you every little photograph that has been referred to. If we did, we'd have to stop the proceedings each time a photograph was discussed and let everybody look at it before we went on to the next. It just doesn't constitute a very effective way of dealing with our time here. But all the exhibits that will be received will be in the jury room for the jury to look at.
Deputy Van Horn, I have here.
We had another jury that might want to see the same thing. It showed one jury.
Deputy Van Horn, I'm showing you item 5A. I'd like to ask you to describe what that is, please.
That's a 12-gauge plastic over powder shot wad.
And in addition to the 2 plastic wads, which we've now talked about, did you also find some fiber wadding?
Yes.
Now, in addition to finding wadding, what else did you discover in the exhibit, which is 16 and 17?
Shot pellets.
What kind of shot pellets did you find?
They were both buckshot and birdshot pellets.
And you've just described what buckshot and birdshot are in your testimony, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And the buckshot, were you able to determine what kind of buckshot it was?
As far as size or
Yes,
manufacturer?
the size.
The size, to me, is most consistent with number 4 buckshot.
So that would be the kind where 27 pellets are contained?
That's correct.
Now, in examining the wadding, were you able to determine how many shots were fired inside of the place where those things were discovered?
Based upon the plastic wadding, the over-powder wads and the wad columns, I found 6 over-powder wads and 2 shot columns, wad columns, that would indicate to me that at least 8 shots were fired.
Okay, and when you say the 2 shot columns, would those be shot columns affiliated with birdshot?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and did you see any other kind of wadding that wasn't the shot column wadding, which is what we passed to the jury? Did you see any other kind of wadding that's affiliated with birdshot?
No.
Okay. Now, the fact that you, from the wadding, could tell that there were only, that from the wadding only, that 8 shots were fired, does that mean that only 8 shots were fired?
I don't know.
All right. Did you examine some photographs of the crime scene before testifying today?
Yes, I did.
May I approach, please, Your Honor?
Yes.
Showing you some photographs which have previously been introduced as exhibits 37, 38, 39, which appear to be some louvers and also a door, the outside of a French door. And referring specifically to photograph 37, which is the outside of the French door, were you able to make a determination as to whether or not shots were fired through that door?
The damage that's depicted in the photos is consistent with a damage that would be caused by a shotgun blast.
Now, in looking at photograph 37, were you able to determine how many shotgun blasts went through that door?
At least 2.
All right. Now, the damage made by these was made by the shotgun pellets, correct?
Yes.
All right. And from what you can discern in this photograph 37, can you tell whether or not the pellets which caused the damage to the door had already gone through something else before getting there?
Not really.
All right. The fact that you were only given 8, enough wadding to make 8 shots, does that mean that only 8 shots were fired?
No.
Why not?
What it means to me is, as not having been to the scene, is that that was the evidence that was submitted to me to examine. So I really wouldn't know how many shots were fired at the scene based upon what was given to me.
Okay. Now, in Exhibit 44, on the right-hand side, appears to be a photograph which, from this distance, looks like just a bunch of smoke. Could you tell me what that's supposed to be? It's the photograph on the right of Exhibit 44.
Yes. Starting at the top on the sequence of photos from top to bottom, it shows gases and pellets being expelled from a shotgun barrel. All the way at the top is a small cloud of gas that's going to precede the shot pellets out of the barrel of the gun, which is pretty much normal procedure when firearms are fired. The second photograph down shows the shot pellet in front of a or a much larger cloud of explosive gases and combustion material from the from the gunpowder burning. And in the third photo down, the gases are still rapidly expanding as the pellet load gets even further from the muzzle of the barrel. And in the bottom photo, once again, the gas cloud, the products of combustion are still enlarging as the pellets get further away from the muzzle.
Now, referring to the left on that chart, number 44, the top, in a contact wound, what happens to the gases that are demonstrated on the right side?
They go inside the wound.
Okay. Now, are you an expert in shotgun wounds?
I know what shotgun wounds look like.
But are you an expert, or is that something the coroner does?
If you're talking about the damage that's done inside the body, no, I'm not an expert in that.
Okay. Did you bring something to court with you today that we haven't discussed yet?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, may I have him get the exhibit out, please? It's not going to be marked.
Yes.
Okay. Deputy Van Horn, have you brought a Mossberg shotgun to court with you today?
Yes, I did.
Would you Please take it out of the case.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Perhaps we should move the microphone.
Yes, I'll do that.
Are you going to ask him some questions about this weapon first? Okay, put the microphone back there.
Yes, sir.
Okay, but I want to put these away so you don't. Are you aware of a model number of a Mossberg shotgun number 50406?
A catalog number, yes, ma'am.
And do you have a shotgun with you today that is similar to a model 50406?
Yes, I do.
Okay, catalog number. I'm sorry, I'm misusing the term. Could you please show the jury what it looks like? Just hold it up. Okay, could you tell us what that is?
It's a Mossberg 12-gauge shotgun. It's a pump-action shotgun, and it has an 18.5-inch barrel, and is capable of holding a total of 6 12-gauge shot shells.
Why don't you stand up and hold it up?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, why don't you put the microphone aside towards the judge, please? And could you show the jury how one loads that kind of shotgun?
Yes.
Now, do you have live rounds with you?
No, these are dummy rounds for functioning purposes only.
How many of them do you have today?
I brought a total of 6.
Okay. Would you please put all of them in and show us how to do it? Now, you've been doing this for how many years? Loading shotguns?
Oh, more than 20.
All right, so would you say you're pretty good at it?
I've done it before.
Okay, all right, so keeping that in mind.
Okay, to load this shotgun, I'll describe a little bit of this shotgun to you, the primary parts. The long tube at the top here is the barrel. The shorter tube at the bottom is the magazine that contains the rounds of ammunition. This area right here is called the ejection port. When the shotgun is fired and the pump is activated and you expel a expended shotgun shell, this is where it comes out, the ejection port. This is the trigger guard. The front portion here, the wood portion, is called a fore-end or a pump handle. The back wooden portion is called a stock. Do you want all 6 rounds loaded in
Yeah,
here?
because you show us how, now,
Well, Your Honor, we're going to object to that.
To loading the 6th shell? Overruled. You may do that.
They would be hard to decide.
No, it's already been discussed. You may do that.
Thank you. Okay, to load the shotgun, you must make sure that the slide is all the way to the front of the gun. Then you take rounds of ammunition, dummy rounds of ammunition, load them into the bottom portion of the shotgun, and then they're retained in the magazine. Okay, that's 5 rounds in the magazine. That's the capacity of the magazine. The magazine will not hold any more rounds. To get the 6th round into the shotgun, you must operate the shotgun to place one of the rounds of ammunition from the magazine into the chamber, which is the back portion of the barrel. And to do that, you have to hit the slide release, which is at the back of the trigger guard here, which releases the slide. You bring the slide all the way to the rear, run the slide back forward, and now there's a dummy round of ammunition in the chamber, and it means now that we can put one more round of ammunition in the gun. So we take the 6th round of ammunition, place it in the gun, and there's now 6 rounds of ammunition in the firearm.
now, could you show us how a shell is ejected, how one shell is ejected from the gun after the gun is, the shotgun has been fired,
Yes.
without hitting anyone?
Yes. Obviously, nothing's going to happen here because these are dummy rounds. You pull the trigger, the hammer falls inside the gun, and this automatically releases the slide release. Before, we had to operate the slide release. We don't have to do that now. Pulling a trigger does that. So you operate the slide. It ejects the round of ammunition. You bring the slide forward, takes the next available round of ammunition from the magazine, inserts it into the chamber, and makes the shotgun ready to fire again.
All right, thank you. If you want to take the dummy rounds out and go ahead and put it down.
You just go ahead with your examination.
Okay. Deputy Van Horn, how does the gun that you have here in court today differ from a Mossberg catalog number 50406?
In the material that the forend and the stock are made out of, the
Okay, the material that they what?
forend and stock are made out of.
All right, could you tell us what they are, what a forend and a stock are, please?
Yes, let me just do this here real quick. Okay, the forend, or pump handle, or slide handle, is the wooden portion at the front of the gun, right here. And the stock is the wooden portion at the rear of the gun, right here.
And in the catalog number 50406, those are made of a different material than the weapon you have in court here today?
Yes, they are.
And what are they made of?
Plastic or synthetic.
Do you have a copy of the Mossberg gun manual for 1989 with you?
Catalog, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All right, we'll resume. Just a couple more things here. Number one, the witness has demonstrated how the weapon is loaded and the way he loaded it. Obviously, he is an experienced expert in the use of firearms, and the way he has demonstrated the loading of the firearm is not intended to indicate how the weapon was loaded at any other time or how it was loaded in the situation involved in this case, just giving you a demonstration how he, as an expert, loads a weapon. And similarly, the way the cartridge was ejected from the shotgun is not designed to indicate how any cartridges were ejected on the night in question. It's just showing you a demonstration here of how cartridge casing is ejected from the shotgun in a general sense.
Referring back again to the demonstration that you just made, when you load the shotgun, you put in the 6 pellets. As they are used up, they are ejected out the side. Is that correct?
They're ejected out the side if the person who's using the shotgun chooses to do that. Yes, ma'am.
Is there something else that could happen?
Well, if you fire one shot with this particular shotgun, nothing else happens other than the round of ammunition going off. It takes a conscious act to remove the expended cartridge case or the expended shot shell from the gun.
And that's by pulling back on the, what's that called?
The slide.
The slide. And
Yes.
by pulling on the slide, then, you eject it and then put another round back into the chamber, correct?
Yes.
All right. And then after all 6 rounds are gone, then in order to reload, you just basically do what we saw you do, right?
Correct.
Okay. Now, I have here an item which is a Xerox, it's Exhibit 46, Your Honor. We've been discussing the difference between the shotgun that you have here in court and also a catalog model 50406. And on page 18 and 19 of this catalog, is there some sort of description of the 2 guns that we've been talking about?
Yes, there is.
All right, now, on page 18 of the catalog, and you have the original here, correct?
Yes, I do.
And you've allowed the defense attorneys to look at it?
Yes.
Okay. On page 18, is there in fact a model 50406 listed, and it says synthetic field?
Yes.
Okay, and so that would be the one that's got plastic instead of wood, correct?
Correct.
All right. And then on page 19, there appears to be 2 guns on this page. The top one and the bottom one on the Xerox appear to be very similar. However, I note that in the actual manual, they're colored. All right, so the top one appears to be all black, and the bottom one appears to be black with the wood as the gun that you have in court, correct?
Correct.
The model 50406, would it have resembled the top?
Yes.
All right, and so aside from the stock and the, what was that called?
Forend.
The forend, they're basically identical, is that correct?
Yes.
Right. Have a moment, please, Your Honor.
Yes.
I have nothing further of this witness at this time.
I just want to clarify a few things, Deputy Van Horn. If I understand your testimony, you believe that what was submitted to you by the Beverly Hills Police Department was all of the ballistics-related evidence that they had gathered from the scene of this shooting. Is that correct?
No, ma'am.
You believe you were not given all of the ballistics-related evidence?
No, what I said is that my opinions were based upon the evidence that was in fact submitted to me.
Do you believe that all the ballistics-related evidence that they retrieved from the scene was submitted to you?
Objection irrelevant.
Overall,
I don't know.
Did you ever read, well, strike that. Did you examine the scene photographs in which they had labeled with numbers all the items of evidence that they had located at the scene?
Yes, I did.
And did you match those numbered items with the items that were submitted to you?
No, I did not.
When you did prepare a report, did you
Yes,
not?
I did.
And that the date of that report was July 16th, 1993.
Yes.
And when was the evidence that you did receive submitted to you?
On July 6, 1993.
And when you prepared the report, in reporting on the evidence, did you refer to item numbers that were the item numbers the Beverly Hills Police Department had given to these pieces of evidence they submitted to you?
Yes, I did.
And did you have any contact with any of the investigating officers from the Beverly Hills Police Department either before or during the time you had the evidence for examination?
Yes, I did.
And do you have any reason to believe that they have withheld from you any ballistics evidence that they gathered at the scene?
No.
Did you also have submitted to you ballistics evidence that was originally obtained by the coroner's office from the decedents and held by the Beverly Hills Police Department after that?
Yes.
So as far as you know, the evidence that was submitted to you came both from the scene of the shooting and from the coroner's examination of the decedents?
Yes.
And based upon your examination of all of the evidence that was submitted to you, based on ballistics evidence, is it your testimony that you saw evidence that 8 rounds were fired?
Yes.
And of those 8 rounds fired, 2, you found evidence leading to the inference that 2 rounds of birdshot were fired and 6 rounds of buckshot were fired?
Yes.
All right. Now, you presented testimony here today based on the chart that I believe is numbered 45. That's the one with the cross-sections of a shot shell.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, that's the chart that's both on the chair here and on the board. Now, the photograph on the left, I believe you described before, is showing a cross-section of a buckshot round that appears from the drawing to have double-aught buckshot.
Well, when you're facing it, it's the one on the right, correct? The one you're pointing to now. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, the one
Yes.
on the right. Okay? All right. A double-aught buckshot is the largest size buckshot, is it not?
No.
No? Is there something bigger than
Yes,
double-aught?
there is.
What's even bigger?
Triple-aught.
Oh, okay. But it's big.
Yes, it's big.
It's like 8 to a shell?
Well, on a standard non-magnum loading, it's 9. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, 9 to a shell. So there are
Yes, ma'am.
9 big pellets.
Yes.
Number 4 buckshot is smaller than this, so that there are 27 that will fit into the exact same size container.
Pretty much. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, all the containers have to be about the same size because they all have to fit into the same size barrel and magazine in the guns, correct?
That's correct.
So if you have a 12-gauge shotgun, you need 12-gauge ammunition, correct?
Correct.
And that 12-gauge ammunition has to be all the same size, no matter what's inside them, right?
Well, as far as 12 gauge, yes, but sometimes the shot shells are loaded from currently 2 3/4 or 3 inch, and that's the loaded length of the shot shell.
Okay, with
Yes,
your
ma'am.
12 gauges, they're all the same size?
Well, they're the same diameter, but they could be different lengths, yes.
Okay. Now, without reading what I'm taking out of my pocket, this looks like a shotgun shell, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And if I show you the diameter, you can tell it's a 12 gauge.
Yes.
And without seeing the markings, you don't know what size pellets are inside here.
Not until you take it apart, no.
Okay. Now, I think you said that the pellets that you saw, that you examined, the larger of the pellets you examined, all appeared to be consistent with number 4 shot.
Number 4 buckshot. Yes, ma'am.
Number 4 buckshot.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did you also examine what appeared to be birdshot pellets, even smaller ones?
Yes.
Okay. Now, did you determine, item number 11, which was handed around to both juries, was this column-type shot cup which is the part on the top that holds the birdshot pellets, and over powder wad at the bottom of the column. Okay, you determined, did you not, a particular manufacturer of that item, item 11, which I think is 16C?
Let's break that down. First of all, she described what it was that was passed to the jury. Was her description accurate?
Yes, sir.
Then you may answer the rest of the question.
Thank you. The rest of the question was, did you determine what the brand name or manufacturer of that particular configuration shot cup column was?
Yes.
And who was it?
It's an Italian manufacturer by the name of Gualandi, Gualandi.
And is there a brand of shotgun ammunition available in the Los Angeles area called Fiocchi that uses Gualandi parts?
Yes.
I'm handing you a shot shell. What type of ammunition and what type of load that appears to be?
Yes, this is a Fiocchi 12-gauge live round of ammunition, and it's loaded with number 8 birdshot.
And I'd like you to open that up.
And
And yeah, you can dump the contents in there so that it doesn't wind up all over the floor. And the purpose of this is for you to extract the cup and wad column that's inside that I think you can extract.
oh, I'm sorry, Your Honor. I just removed the shot load from the top of the live round of shot shell ammunition.
Why don't you show us that so we can see what it is? Just put a cup in your hands.
Okay. Yes, sir. I'm just going to remove a few of these, Your Honor. About, looks like it might be as many as 10.
Okay, I can't even see it, so...
They're quite small, Your Honor.
They're real.
All
Why
right,
don't
these
you
are
just
little-
drop them into my hand and let
These are
you...
little pellets.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Let me have your hand, Mr. Horn. Just drop them. You can see how tiny they are. They make a mess, but they are small. Okay. You didn't see that? You're so faster than a speeding bullet. They are small.
And I'll continue to cut the top off the shot shell. And we'll attempt to take the...
Deputy Wolf has a very sharp knife, the skinny one if you want to borrow it. Do the other way.
I don't think it's going to come out any other way. I'll have to cut it at the bottom because it's not going to cooperate. And I'm going to dump the gunpowder into the same envelope and push the, well, maybe I won't. Here it comes.
Go. Last.
Thank you.
Now, you have extracted the shot cup wad column,
Yes.
and does that appear to be the identical type shot cup wad column as we've seen in 16C?
It's the same, yes.
Now, this diagram here, 45, diagrams Remington ammunition.
Yes, it does.
Was there anything that you saw in your examination of the ballistics evidence in this case that led you to form the conclusion that it was Remington brand ammunition?
No.
Did you form the conclusion, well, did you form the conclusion that what you saw, both by way of birdshot-related ballistics material and buckshot-related ballistics material, was consistent with Fiocchi?
Yes.
And along those lines, do you have that? Okay, this is what's been marked 16N, as in no, and originally it had Beverly Hills item number 2. You examined this in the course of examining all this ballistics evidence, did you not?
Yes, I did.
Would you open that up?
opening the envelope and removing a plastic container that has a fiber filler or spacer wad.
Now, can you see, first of all, does this appear to be an intact, a whole spacer wad rather than fragments?
Yes, it does.
And can you tell that because it has two sort of dark and shiny sides to it?
Yes.
And can you see on this spacer wad anything that appears to be the impressions of buckshot pellets?
Yes.
And do those impressions appear to be consistent with number 4 buckshot as well?
Yes, they do.
And was that part of what supported your conclusion that number 4 buckshot pellets were used?
No, I base that conclusion on the weights, the retained weights of the pellets that I looked at.
Because you also looked at pellets, which we haven't shown the
Yes,
jury.
ma'am.
But both the retained weights of the pellets that you weighed and these impressions do appear to be consistent with number 4 buckshot.
Yes, they do.
Okay. Now, I take it you could not tell from examining the scene photographs from the Beverly Hills Police Department whether or not they saw all the ballistics evidence that was available at the scene.
No.
Okay. You, I take it, didn't try to re-examine those photographs with a magnifying glass to see if they missed anything, or maybe you did?
No, I didn't.
All right. Would you hand me the gun? You took the dummy rounds out.
Yes, I did.
Would you give me 2 of them? Now, when you were loading this before, you held the gun in one hand in an up position, such as I'm holding it now,
Yes, ma'am.
and you loaded it by pushing up.
Yes.
That's the preferred professional way of doing it?
That's one way to do it. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Another way to do it is to just hold it down
Absolutely.
and just push it in that way,
Correct.
right? And it doesn't take any particular strength or dexterity or training to be able to do what I just did, does it?
No, ma'am.
So you don't have to be strong or big or anything?
No.
I leave it to you now to just hold on to it the way it is.
Cross-examination by counsel for Lyle Menendez.
37 through 39, these are the photographs you said you were asked to review,
Yes, sir.
correct? And I think you said that based on your review of those photographs, you determined there were at least 2 shots fired through what's depicted in those photographs?
Yes, sir.
And could you tell me whether the shots were fired from in 37, which appears to be the outside of the house, looking in? Were you able to tell from which direction the shots were fired? That is, was someone standing outside that window shooting through the window inside to what is ever on the other side there?
No, based upon what I see here, based upon the glass on the outside of the window, and also the enlarged, what appears to me to be very consistent with exit holes through the louvers in the wood, I would say that these shots were fired from inside the house and one outside the house.
All right. And looking at 38, which appears to be an interior view,
Yes, sir.
and is there anything in that photograph which confirms your opinion that the shots were in fact fired from somewhere within the room where that window is situated?
Yes, sir. Looking at the holes that are depicted between the 2 straps on the slat, they're very consistent with entry holes from shotgun pellets.
And is 39 just a close-up of, again, an interior view of that door?
Yes, sir, it is.
Now, I think you said also that you could not tell from the photographs whether either of those 2 shots, assuming there are only 2, were what you term pass-through shots. Is that correct?
I don't think I referred to them as pass-through shots. I think I was asked if they had passed through something beforehand.
And how do you generally make that determination?
Well, basically, you wouldn't be able to tell unless there was some intervening object that you could see in front of the slats in this particular case.
And you just don't know from examining the photographs, correct?
No, sir.
Is it true to say that the way you work in your department is someone will make a request of you to do something and you then do it in terms of your analysis?
That's correct.
You don't just go out to a crime scene and look at the ballistics evidence at the crime scene and then come up with an interpretation of what happened?
On my own?
Yes.
No, sir.
Do you ever visit crime scenes?
When we're asked to go there by the investigator handling the crime, yes, sir, we do.
When does that generally happen?
That generally happens very soon after the crime is discovered and at the request of the investigator.
And would that generally be done while, for instance, the ammunition was still lying in the place where it was found at the crime scene?
Yes, sir.
Is one of the things you can tell from doing that perhaps where the shooter was in relation to the target from the distribution of the various parts, for instance, shotgun shells?
Well, shotgun shells, if you saw some shotgun shells laying at a crime scene, you might be at some time, if you were provided with the shotgun in the case, make an ejection pattern and determine where someone was standing. Yes, sir.
How about the wadding? For instance, if there was wadding at the crime scene, would that tell you anything about where the shooter was standing in relation to the target?
From just the wadding, no, sir.
Now, in relation to your diagram up there, I believe it's 44, which shows the shot patterns.
Yes, sir.
Am I correct in assuming that your testimony is very general in nature? In other words, you're not specifying that it relates to any weapon that is relevant to this case. You're only talking in general.
Yes, sir.
And am I also correct in assuming that if you had taken a gun that, for instance, you had known was used in a particular incident, a model number, that you could do some sort of test to actually more accurately determine the distance from the shooter to the target by test firing the gun itself?
The gun itself, yes, sir. That's the only time we would provide an estimate.
And is the best way to do that, for instance, if you knew that a particular model number was used in an incident, to take that model number and fire it from various distances and see what kind of pattern it made with various types of ammunition?
No, sir.
How would you do it?
Well, when we do a distance determination, either to duplicate a shot pattern or a gunshot residue pattern, we need to have the specific gun that was used and know the type of ammunition that was used. Otherwise, we don't do the test.
Right. And would you need the specific gun itself or just the same model number?
No, sir, the gun. We want the gun that's the suspect gun in the case.
Otherwise, you just can't tell.
No, sir, that's correct.
And you weren't asked to do any analysis along those lines in this case, were you?
No, sir.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Any redirect?
Well, were you asked to try to replicate shotgun patterns, and did you refuse to do it because you didn't have the shotgun by me?
Yes.
Okay. And so when Mr. Burt says that, for instance, if I went out today and bought a Mossberg catalog number 50406, and I went to you and said, Deputy Van Horn, show me how shot patterns would relate to this case, what would you tell me?
I would show you how they relate to this case, but I wouldn't tell you that based upon patterns that I shot with that gun that you bought or I bought, and then, for instance, look at the pattern that's in, I think it's People's 39, and then say, well, yes, this shot was fired at, X feet. I wouldn't do that.
Why not?
Because it's not the same gun. I don't know what configuration that 50406 gun is. If the purchaser has made some modification to that, I have no way of knowing.
Now, I believe you were also asked a question about if you could tell where people were located in a room by the location of the wadding. Was that
Yes.
the question you were asked? And I think you replied no, is that right?
That's correct.
Why can't you tell?
Well, the wadding is propelled out the barrel of the shotgun just like the other ammunition components, the shot pellets. And once again, depending on the gun and the type of ammunition that's used, those waddings are going to go at some distance. And for instance, if this courtroom diagonally from corner to corner was, let's say, 30 feet, and we find a shot wad in the middle of this room, and the test with a gun and the type of ammunition says that the shot wad will travel 15 feet, I still don't know from what corner that shot was fired from. All I know is we have a shot wad in the middle of this room.
Right, so the wadding does not tell you anything about where the shot was fired from, is that correct?
That's correct.
And is wadding unpredictable in terms of where it will end up? In other words, does it sometimes end up with the pellets and other times end up elsewhere?
Yes.
Okay. Now the fiber wadding, which I think it was shown by Ms. Abramson to the jury, does that kind of wadding absorb moisture?
It can.
All right, so that if that wadding were contaminated by blood or some other liquid, then it would be in fact contaminated, right, and would soak up the liquid?
It could, yes.
All right. Now, I believe Ms. Abramson asked you about the evidence that was submitted to you. Were you ever submitted any spent shotgun shells in this case?
Me?
Yes.
No, ma'am.
All right. And you were never submitted a shotgun in this case that was a suspect weapon?
No.
Okay. And I think you indicated that when you have a handgun or a rifle, that when you get the bullet, you can tell that this particular bullet came from this particular gun because guns are unique. Is that correct?
Yes.
Right. Now, in shotguns, is there a way to do that as well?
Yes, there is.
And is that with the end of the shotgun shell?
That's with the expended shot shell, yes, ma'am.
Okay, and what is it, just briefly, without going into a long lecture on ballistics, what would you look for if you were going to make that comparison?
I would look for firing pin impressions, breech face, extractor marks, shell stops. There's any number of components inside a shotgun that have the potential to leave individual and unique marks to that particular firearm.
So then as the shotgun shell is hit and then travels through the barrel of the gun, of the shotgun, it picks up markings, is that correct?
Well, I don't mean to be picky, but the shot shell itself doesn't travel through the barrel, but it's worked through the action. So many of the different components of the action of the firearm can, in fact, mark the shot shell.
So that if you had a weapon in this case and you had the shotgun shells, you might have been able to say that these shotgun shells came from this shotgun.
Yes.
Thank you. May we approach, please? I have a question. I know. I just want to approach.
All right, is there any further cross-examination of the witness?
Yes. Deputy Van Horn, is it your understanding that all Mossberg 500 series shotguns with 18.5-inch barrels have no choke?
No.
Okay. Is it your understanding that the gun that you brought to court, does it have a choke?
Well, all shotguns have a choke because even when it's what's referred to as a cylinder bore, which is a wide open bore of the shotgun, that's still considered one of the chokes. Generally, 18.5-inch barreled shotguns have what's referred to as a cylinder bore.
So that's the wide open position,
Yes,
basically?
ma'am.
It doesn't have any additional constricting device that would further compact the load. Is that right?
This particular shotgun?
Well, the 500 series, which is all you can talk about.
I don't know. I really don't know.
Well, what about the 50406? Do you know about that?
Not really.
So you don't have any idea if the 50406s have some additional constriction?
That's correct.
Nothing further.
Anything else?
Does the catalog you refer to indicate that the 40506 has a cylinder bore?
I believe it does, yes.
Anything else?
No, thank you.
All right, thank you. You may step down.
Thank you.
Excused. Gather up your
Paraphernalia.
Yes, sir. Should I replace this other stuff in its proper envelopes to your?
Let the lawyers do that since
Okay.
they're the ones who took it out. But
Okay,
you
yes,
can take your shotgun with you.
Oh, I do have one other question, Your Honor. I'm sorry.
Okay, this will be a test. The test is that it'll be one question, so.
Here's the test. If there were 6 number 4 buckshot rounds fired with 27 pellets each, would that produce a total number of pellets fired of 162 pellets?
Yes.
All right. Anything else from anybody else? Okay. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
And the shotgun, ladies and gentlemen, is not an exhibit that will be received. It was only brought into the courtroom for the purpose of demonstrations, and it now will leave the courtroom.